There's something going on here. I need to understand it. Like you do.
That's exactly why you shouldn't be here.
You might say a demonic entity falls under our expertise. Crooked Man's waiting on you.
That's interesting. Oh, you didn't want me to squash?
No, squashing's good.
I heard tales about him all my life. Most just called him the Crooked Man.
I thought Big Red wasn't scared of anything.
Oh, I know something you're afraid of.
You hear something?
Your road ends in the dark like mine.
Let's just keep on coming.
It ain't even really begun.
Come on, Snake, let's rattle.
Let not your horse be troubled. By way they know not. I will make the darkness light. And the crooked things straight. You doubt the power of prayer, son?
Just in case.
Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and today I'm doing a video on Hellboy The Crooked Man, the movie. Now, I just wanted to have an example of the comic book back here by Mike Mignola and Richard Corbin. And in the comic book, they also mentioned that Hellboy was on the cover of Life magazine, so I wanted to do a mock-up of that too. It's not the right date. It should be in May, but this was I wanted to get a nice high-res thing to do a mock-up so you guys could see it, you know, just for GP. Now, obviously there's a total of 4 Hellboy movies. There are many novels, ton of comic books, which is originated from animated movies also, right? And I guess the animated movie is more along the adventure serial. And I think there's a video. I think the first movie, so I think, what was it? Mike Mignola was kind of hinted in Blade 2. I think Blade's assistant has a BRPD shirt. So that kind of hinted that, you know, Guillermo del Toro had some interest in doing a Hellboy movie, and which of course got that on the way. You have someone interested in it. You had him also then, not sure if Mike Mignola worked on it. It's possible that he might have done some things, but Guillermo del Toro wanted to do Hellboy the movie, right? So then at the same time, and they were kind of simpatico. They came up with some new designs for Abe Sapien, and some other, you know, some of the other things were kind of altered. The monsters, which he also did some designs on there, and Guillermo del Toro did his own designs. And that's the hard part. When you look at the book of Hellboy the movie, you almost feel like Guillermo del Toro is like a collaborator on the creation when he's a collaborator on the film, right? So then when you get to Hellboy 2, which Mignola kind of felt was going to be all stuff they were talking about was now going to be in this thing. They got the first one off the way. Now they can get to some more weird, even more weird stuff. And there's an interview where they where Mike Mignola says it kind of wasn't that, so he just kind of let, Guillermo del Toro do what he wanted. And then you have the third one that came out, which was, even though the second one just did okay, I think. The third one, which basically has a lot of the comic book stuff in there. It might have too much of the stuff in there, too many stories in there, because I know they had the Wild Hunt. They also have a character that was in the BPRD. I always mix that up. I don't know why I keep doing that. But anyway, so when this juncture, he said, if they were going to ask me to do another Hellboy, I would have to be involved in the script. So his collaborator on the novels. I think I have some of the novels. Do I have a Hellboy novel here? Probably on the other end. Yeah, I do. I always pull out the other one, but I also have the Hellboy The Lost Army, the first novel, which Chris Golden, there's some ideas that Mike Mignola didn't think he'd get a chance to do as a comic book, and he said Chris Golden gave Hellboy a sex life. So with that said, they decided to do one of Mike Mignola's favorite stories, which is, this is a cover by Mike Mignola of Hellboy, The Crooked Man, and Other Stories. This is volume 10. I think there's like 12 of the Mignola trades. There's also Weird Tales Hellboy. And the only other thing I'll point out, outside this being a gorgeous book, the story got it won an Eisner. Just what it said it won? Let's see. It's got to be in the front. Sorry, giving all these tidbits. 2009 Eisner Award winner for Best Limited Series. So, and this is, I think, possibly their second one. I think my favorite, this one is really good. My favorite is Makoma, Hellboy in Africa. And he relives the story of some African folklore. But this was not a slouch either, right? So, and this is the period where Mike Mignola had these great storytellers like Michael Corbin, Duncan Fredrego, which Neil Adams himself said, isn't Duncan Fredrego on Hellboy? Isn't that amazing? And I always point out that Bernie Wrightson, one of Mike Mignola's, he only did a cover, but you could see he's having these great artists, these macabre artists and creature feature artists also do a great Hellboy. And it seemed like a lot of people. Kevin Nolan could do a great one. Who else? Gary Gianni, he did a nice one. But getting back to this volume is also dedicated to a writer who's known as Manly Wade Wellham, who was a pulp writer. I have a picture of him in here. He was a pulp writer who did a few stories, pulp stories in the Appalachians, which is where this story takes place. So Hellboy wanted to do, Mike Mignola, because they're not the one and the same. I think he said Mike Mignola's more like, Hellboy's more like his dad, but he was, wanted to do something in the Appalachian Mountains, and which is a story of Hellboy walking around now. I saw the movie. You can buy it on, right now it's not for rent. You can buy it on Amazon Prime or Apple TV. So $19.99. And going in, I'm apprehensive since I'm such a big fan. But knowing Mike Mignola was involved kind of lessened my apprehension. But it's always at the same time what the rest of the world would like. Because at the same time of me having, I've already got videos of the Hellboy action figures and whatnot that I have here in the house. It's always wondered what the rest of the world would think. So in seeing this movie, basically They took the comic book story, a lot of stuff from the comic book in there. Pretty much the entire comic book is in there. They just added some characters, added some scenes, and they also added a bigger climax, right? A little more action to the climax. So in this story, let's see, since you had to buy it, it kind of starts off with some action. Hellboy is at the end of a mission, and so things go awry, and he winds up out of this train in the Appalachians Mountains. And at the same time, he senses a lot of danger in this area, and it's very creepy and whatnot. And then they go in and they see this kid who's basically just laid out on the floor, not dead, but immobile. And Hellboy said it's pretty odd. And a mysterious man walks in there. And it's also this Asian character who's an agent. This story takes place in the late 1950s, like 1959 or 1957. And the people in the Appalachian Mountains haven't seen civilization in a long time. But they know of Hellboy. They know he was in Life magazine, which I put here, just a mock-up, because this uses the Guillermo del Toro movie, just so you know. And then they also know that he went to the United Nations. So from there, with the mystery, with the weirdness going around, Hellboy wanders off with this guy who's Tom Farrell, who hasn't been in the town for the longest time, to search for this woman, Cora Fisher, right? So ultimately, I don't know what to say. I was giving you all this backstory, and the movie is yet to be seen. But then as they go along, all this witchcraft come along. There's all this witchcraft. We find out that the woman Cora is connected to witchcraft. We find out that Tom Farrell, he's actually been practicing witchcraft. And one of the few stories where you hear men before we hear the men call themselves they're a witch, not a warlord or something like that, which is interesting. That Hellboy back in 2009 was already had that sort of reference to witchcraft. So basically, in this story, they run in there. They find Cora, which leads them into more weirdness. This is one of the creepier of this is the creepiest Hellboy movie ever. Some of the stuff they do in there, some of the stuff you see, it's really creative. I think they have some of it in the trailer, but you won't really be able to tell what's going on here. You have to see it. And if you've seen the comic book, then most of those scenes are visually, very even stronger. So what else do I want to say about this movie? When running into, of course, Cora Fisher, then leads them to the hint of the Crooked Man, where we see in the trailer his head kind of goes like this. So they kind of added a little more drama to his effect, because he's already leaning when you see him in the comic books. So it's so to give you the last bit to give you on that leads them to, from Cora's house to, obviously they wind up in this church, and in this church that leads them to the big first showdown with the Crooked Man. And it's Tom Farrell, this Hellboy agent, which is Bobby Jo Song, an Asian woman. And then they run into a reverend who is actually Joseph Marcel, who's from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He played Jeffrey. Now it's easy to fall for Bobby Jo in this movie. Hellboy's chorus is interesting. Tom Farrell's interesting. The Crooked Man is weird, but Joseph Marcel, he kind of steals the movie. He really brings a lot of emotion and energy to it. And if you read the comic book, Hellboy is always around reverence, so it's interesting to kind of be able to see more of that in this movie. So, but he's kind of he's a scene stealer. he's definitely a scene stealer, and I can say that I liked it. I enjoyed it. There is some, I guess, it feels like budgetary on some of the big monsters. There's like a big spider and a big snake, and budgetary things. It's not as organic. It's a little metallic, but it's still creepy as hell. The spider, the snake scene is incredible. So I don't know. I don't want to spoil all of this, and I want to thank you all for our when you come to our trailer reaction of this. I'm not gonna say, the thing is, I'm not gonna say I'm biased, because at the same time I would be cringing in the movie just like if it didn't work, and I cringe in the later years watching Superman 2, and I was just like, ugh. And then my father yelled and screamed how bad it is, and it's just some things hold up, some things don't. But ultimately, this movie was a win for me. The actor Jack Casey, he's from Claws. He's he doesn't sound like it. There's some portions where it reminds me of him in there, but it's maybe like a half a second. He's very much in character. He's very much a fun character. I think it's Adeline Rudolph, who plays Bobby Jo Song. Her character is interesting because she's a field agent trying to learn her way. Who else? And as I said, and the thing is, this is for a superhero movie, just about the creepiest movie you can have, and it also has. I don't know if I have any visuals to show you of it, but Hellboy has kind of like single panels that just kind of have something creepy going on in it. Like, I'm gonna just see if I don't know if you can see it, but there's like this creepy panel over here. They kind of captured that, and there's another bit which goes against like this kind of stuff. You can see the mood, but with Richard Corbin, they really captured most of the stuff that's in here. Like, they have a explanation of a witch ball, and it's kind of a interlude within the movie. So it was interesting to see them kind of translate everything, translate the Mignola type of mood, and kind of sometimes cutting to a shot, like like some atmospheric shot that would lead to being something to set the mood, and then they would have something extremely creepy. So I am saying, go check it out. They made this movie for $20 million. It's like catch-up entertainment, and I think they did a good job. I enjoyed it. What else? And it looks like they want to do more. And there's a bunch of. It'd be tough because I really would love to see the end story redone. But I'm a big fan of Macoma. I'm a big fan of oh man, it would be interesting. I don't want them to redo the origin story with him and Rasputin, but there's a bunch of others. I told you there's 10 volumes. There's 10 volumes of these. No, there's 12 volumes, and it ends towards Hellboy going to hell. So you got a lot of time before you get to there. So let me look at it while we're here. I think I got time. What could be a sequel? I'm already talking sequels. I'm already talking sequels. Look at all these. And that's not even counting the BRPD. Right? It's Conqueror Worm. Wake the Devil. They did get into some of Hellboy's history. The Right Hand of Doom. Strange Places. That's the one in Africa. The other thing is, the hard part is, there's so many great short Hellboy stories. And if you did like a DVD, maybe you could do one of those short Hellboy stories, like Pancakes or The Mole. I think The Mole has beaten out Pancakes for me. I don't know what else to kind of point out, but I'm glad I wasn't cringing to the story. I was able to watch it at home, and it would have been interesting to see how movie audiences reacted to this one. But maybe they played it safe and decided to have it accessible at home. But hopefully we can do more. And maybe instead of doing what I would love, because I already mentioned short stories, trying to do an anthology. So similar to like Sin City, like taking 3 kind of short Hellboy stories and put them into one movie, But it seemed like it actually worked for Pulp Fiction also. So it's something that rarely works, and people had to be right in that time, because I think Four Rooms didn't do that well either. But I guess that's about it. Spinner Rack is out.